General election ballot despite an attempt to block her candidacy by an ally of current Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
Mayoral candidate being challenged.
General election ballot, despite an attempt to block her candidacy by an ally of current Mayor Tiffany H. Mayoral candidate being challenged. Tiffany Henyard, the self-proclaimed super mayor of Dalton, has finally been apprehended by authorities following an extensive FBI raid that exposed the full extent of her years-long pattern of corruption, abuse of power, and lavish spending. Once hailed as a promising leader, Henyard's fall from grace has been swift and dramatic, with her facing 22 federal charges and including misappropriation of funds and financial concealment. Her extravagant lifestyle, funded by taxpayer dollars, starkly contrasted with the deteriorating financial situation of Dalton, a town on the brink of bankruptcy. While the mayor flaunted her wealth, the community was left to deal with the consequences of her reckless spending and financial mismanagement. Henyard's reign of excess, marked by lavish shopping spree, high-end travel, and personal indulgences, came at the expense of the very town she was supposed to serve. As Dalton's economy continued to spiral into crisis, Henyard lived as though she were royalty, funding her indulgent lifestyle with public money while the residents struggled. The tipping point came when the FBI, after a long investigation, executed a series of subpoenas confirming long-standing rumors about Henyard's corrupt activities. This is not Henyard's first encounter with the law. She had a previous conviction for trespassing, but the charges she now faces are far more serious and extensive. The 22 federal charges against her could result in up to 25 years in prison. One of the most shocking revelations is that Henyard used taxpayer funds to finance personal shopping trips, including a $7,700 spree at Target, Walgreens, and Wayfair on September 1, 2023. While hardworking Dalton residents struggled to make ends meet, they were unaware that their tax dollars were being siphoned off to fund the mayor's extravagant taste instead of using her position to improve the community. Henyard treated the mayor's office as her personal playground. She had police officers run errands for her, essentially turning them into a VIP security detail. Meanwhile, her excessive travel habits drained Dalton's finances, with more than $122,000 spent on trips, leaving the town's $5.6 million surplus depleted and a $36 million deficit in its wake. Perhaps the most shocking instance of her wastefulness was a single driveway project that cost the town a staggering $561,000, an amount that could have been used to address critical community needs, but instead went to maintain Henyard's image and lifestyle. From hiring professional hair and cosmetics teams to enjoying taxpayer-funded motorcades, Henyard's focus seemed to be on personal luxury rather than serving the public. Her behavior alienated both residents and municipal employees, many of whom watched helplessly as the town crumbled under her leadership. Public resources that should have been directed towards essential services were instead diverted to fund Henyard's personal desire, leaving Dalton's infrastructure and services to deteriorate. The financial mess Henyard created was so dire that it wasn't until a former police chief blew the whistle that the full scope of her corruption was revealed. The details of Henyard's alleged actions demonstrate not only gross mismanagement but also a blatant disregard for the people she was elected to serve. Once seen as an untouchable figure, Henyard's empire of extravagance has now come crashing down, and the town is left to pick up the pieces. With Henyard now in custody, the residents of Dalton are left to grapple with the path of her actions. Their once thriving community has been left financially ruined, and it remains to be seen whether they will ever fully recover trust in local government has been severely damaged, and the scars of Henyard's time in office may linger for years to come as the legal proceedings unfold. Dalton residents can only hope for justice and accountability, hoping that their town can rebuild and that such a catastrophic failure of leadership will never happen again. Doors are locked here, and there's a sign on the building right now that says it's closed. For how long? Neither residents' recent revelations about Mayor Tiffany Henyard's tenure in office paint an unsettling picture of a leader consumed by self-interest, financial mismanagement, and blatant abuse of taxpayer funds. Despite having her credit card privileges revoked, Henyard organized a lavish $555,000 party for the town of Dalton, which featured high-profile performers such as Whale and Jay Holiday. Whale was paid $30,000 for a 30-minute performance, and Jay Holiday received $20,000 for his set. Additionally, Henyard spent $36,000 on a sound system, staff, comedians, and even rented bouncy houses, which cost $6,600. The event, which was attended by only about 70 people, drew sharp criticism from outspoken community members such as Jennifer Roberts, who decried the misappropriation of taxpayer funds. Former trustee Val Stubbs described the event as nothing more than a wasteful self-promotion scheme, further fueling the public's outrage. Henyard's actions have only intensified public mistrust as federal investigators and concerned taxpayers closely monitor her every move. However, the most significant turn of events came when Henyard, former ally and right-hand woman Carmen Carlisle, stepped forward with damning evidence of the mayor's misconduct. For 2 years, Carlisle had a front-row seat to Henyard's alleged misuse of Dalton's funds, and claims that the mayor treated the town's budget as her personal piggy bank. Carlisle, initially silent, eventually became the key whistleblower in the case, turning over a stack of receipts to federal authorities. Her testimony has been a bombshell, revealing the inner workings of Henyard's financial mismanagement and the bold action she took to further her own interest at the expense of the public. Despite mounting criticism from residents and public figures, Henyard has shown no signs of slowing down, a move that some believe will only make the growing scandal worse. While Dalton's residents cope with the fallout from Henyard's alleged financial fraud and misconduct, the FBI's investigation, fueled by Carlisle's first-hand account, has intensified. The latest revelation shed an even darker light on Henyard's actions in office, underscoring her apparent lack of financial responsibility. Even though her credit card privileges had been revoked, she still went ahead with the extravagant party. As mentioned earlier, the event cost $555,000 and included performances from Whale and Jay Holiday, among other luxuries. The extravagant spending has left the public in shock, especially when contrasted with the town's dire financial situation. Baylor Stubbs' description of the event as a self-promotion scheme captures the general sentiment of those who feel betrayed by Henyard's misuse of public funds. The town's budget, once expected to support essential services for the community, was instead used to fund the mayor's personal taste and lavish lifestyle. The decision to host such an extravagant event for only a small group of people highlights the contrast between Henyard's priorities and the needs of the Dalton residents, who have been struggling to maintain basic services as the investigation unfolds. Hence, former aide Carmen Carlisle has become a central figure in the case. Carlisle's testimony has provided investigators with crucial information about Henyard's spending habits and her apparent disregard for public welfare. According to Carlisle, Henyard was not only misappropriating funds, but also using her position to promote her own career and image. Carlisle's whistleblowing has provided insight into the true extent of Henyard's actions, leading to the unearthing of receipts that document her financial dealings over the years. The community's mistrust in Henyard has only deepened as more details about her alleged misconduct emerge. Critics, including former trustee Stubbs, have pointed out the stark disparity between Henyard's extravagant spending and the low turnout for her events. They argue that her actions demonstrate a clear financial mismanagement that is only worse in the town's already fragile economy. Henyard's disregard for Dalton's financial well-being, coupled with her apparent self-promotion, has made it increasingly difficult for residents to trust their leadership. Despite the growing criticism and the ongoing FBI investigation, Henyard has shown no signs of backing down. Some believe this defiance will only fuel the scandal further, especially as more information about her financial misdeeds comes to light. The FBI's investigation, now bolstered by Carlisle's first-hand testimony, has put Henyard firmly in the spotlight. Federal agents have focused their efforts on uncovering the full extent of her misuse of public funds, including her lavish trips, excessive security detail, and questionable business dealings. They are also looking into her charity work, which, according to reports, may have been another vehicle for self-promotion rather than genuine community support. The FBI's involvement marks a significant turning point in the investigation, signaling the agency's commitment to uncovering every dollar that was misused during Henyard's time in office. For the citizens of Dalton, this is a long overdue response to years of calls for transparency and accountability. Activists like Brittany Norwood have long been vocal about the need for a thorough investigation, and the FBI's intervention is seen as a necessary step in addressing the town's financial crisis and holding Henyard accountable for her actions. As Henyard's downfall continues to unfold, Dalton residents are forced to grapple with the devastating consequences of her actions. The town has been rocked by the scandal, and many are struggling to comprehend how their leader could have been so reckless with their money. Some have likened the situation to a reality TV show where Henyard presented herself as a glamorous, larger-than-life